It's Kanisha Leggett again with KUMSLT, and today I will be talking about visual perception and how you can use everyday items at home to work on visual skills, as well as incorporating tasks and interventions for other areas. So, visual perception is basically the brain's ability to make sense of what is actually seen. So, today, what I've done is I've invited three special guests to join me, and they are going to complete a few different visual activities for you to see. And then during the activities, I've also incorporated a few ways to upgrade and downgrade the activities. Also, visual perception skills can be incorporated as a preparatory task in order to reach a occupation, be it with younger kids. What I'm looking at doing is addressing the goal of fine motor skills, being able to complete handwriting. And so my goal would be that my client would be able to write his or her name and date at the top of their homework paper with 100% accuracy and no verbal cues by the end of the school year. So what we're going to do is take a look at the three guests that I have invited. I've asked Deja to be here, and she is going to represent how I would do this differently if I had a patient that was positive with COVID and wearing the mask. And then I've got Damon here who is going to demonstrate if I was working with a elementary child. And then I have just if I was going to address this with an adult. So I've brought Xavier in. So if we scan over here, we're going to be looking at this is Deja. And Deja is currently wearing the mask. And one of the things you have to consider with the mask when you're asking about visual is if the mask is not sealed properly, someone who wears glasses, the glasses can fog, and that will affect what they are actually able to see. And so you want to make sure to do a test to make sure that the mask is sealed and the glasses are not fogging up during the activity. Next, we're coming over to Damon. Now, Damon has the exact same items in front of him, but we've made some adaptations for Damon. Damon has a pair of tweezers. My household item is going to be tweezers. Damon has a pair of tweezers that has grip on it, so it makes it easier for him to hold on to the tweezers while he is working. Lastly, we're going over to Xavier. Now, Xavier has a pair of tweezers that are a little more challenging because they are not only shorter, but they don't open as widely as the other tweezers do. So the first visual test that I'm going to ask them all to do is take the tweezers and on that blank piece of paper in front of you, place the tweezers as to where you believe the front of the paper is. Okay, so as we notice with one instruction, we've gotten one, two separate answers. So this is when we begin to go further into understanding what our client, how they are processing the directions. Xavier, I noticed that you placed your tweezers in the center of the paper, even though I asked you to place it at the front of the paper. Why did you do that?
Well, this is the front of the paper that I'm writing on, so I just understood as, this side being the front.
Okay, all righty. And Damon, why did you place your tweezers at that place on the paper?
Well, because when I write on my paper, um, I write this way up, so I thought that was the way that the paper.
Okay. And Deja, can you explain why you placed your tweezers there?
Well, looking at the paper this way, this to me is the front of the paper. This would be the front, this would be the back, and these are the sides. So.
Okay, perfect. The next task we're going to do is we'll be also looking at the visual perceptual, but we're going to be working fine motor as well. So what I'm going to ask each one of you to do is to take the tweezers and move all of the cotton balls one at a time from where they are onto the white paper. Now, as you will notice, each one of them had a colored background so that the white stood out. If I was going to try and make that a little more difficult, I would have had them start from the white paper and move to the colored background would be a way for me to upgrade the activity. Okay, next, what I've done inside the egg crates is I have added in beads. And there are different color beads in there inside the eggshell. So I am going to dump the beads out. Xavier, can you dump your own beads out?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, now what I'm going to ask you to do with the beads is to pick them up one at a time. Deja, I want you to put your beads, all pink beads together, all white beads together. Damon, I want you to take all your white beads into the front hole of the eggshell and all of your pink beads into the back hole of the eggshell, using the tweezers one at a time. Xavier, what I've done is I'm using you to show how the activity can be upgraded. I've given Xavier black beads on a black background. I've also, inside his crate, placed colored markings, thank you, so that I can then tell him I want the pink beads to go on the blue crate hole. I want the white beads to go on the black crate hole, and then the pink beads can go into any hole you choose.
Okay.
So as you can see, this task worked on not only following simple instructions, visual perception, fine motor coordination, but it also worked on motor planning as figuring out how they would go about picking up the items while they were doing it. So some of the client factors that we would be addressing would be the value of being able to socialize with their peers, being able to develop those fine motor and perceptual skills to enjoy lunchtime. Also, we would be looking at some of the body functions that were required for this test: attention, perception, memory, energy, vision, touch, proprioception, joint mobility, stability, muscle power, as well as the control of voluntary movements. And then some of the performance skills we would be looking at in the area of motor would be stabilizing, reaching, gripping, manipulating, bending, coordination, movement, calibration, and pacing. Under processing, we would be addressing attention, heeding, choosing, using the appropriate tools, sequencing, noticing, and adjusting. And under the social area, we would be looking at expression, the reply, and being able to benefit. Now, the body structures that were used during this were visual, their arms and hands, eyes, their trunk, and ears for hearing. And so again, this would be a preparatory task in order to increase their fine motor skills and their visual perception skills in preparation for handwriting, in preparation for self-feeding, in preparation for buttoning and zipping clothing, which can carry over for multiple occupations throughout the day. So I'd like to thank my guests for participating with me. And this is Kanisha with KUMSOT. Thank you and have a good day.